This video is about what is a percent. Percents are all around us. Percents are something that our society loves to use. Common examples: sale prices, 20% off, everything in stock, taxes, tips, nutrition labels, commission, describing change, a percent increase or a percent decrease. The list can go on and on and on and on. Grades, for example. Take a percentage of something. Just like with fractions, it is very important to know what you are taking a percentage of. If I tell you I'd give you 50%, are you happy or are you upset? Depends, right? 50% on my jackpot lottery winnings, yay, great, thank you. 50% of my moldy, rotten apple, no thanks. Okay, a lesson about where this word came from. Percent literally means per cent. Break it up into two parts. Per means for each. There is 1 heart per person. Each person has 1 heart per. Cent. Cent is 100. There are 100 cents in a dollar, 100 years in a century, 100 legs on a centipede, supposedly. Now, where the symbol came from. If percent means per 100, then 34% is 34 per 100. As a fraction, that's 34 per 100. So, 34 per 100 became 34 over 100, which then got written in this sort of sideways manner. That got a little bit lazy, so started being written like this. That symbol, at some point, I'm not really sure how, somehow one of those zeros jumped to the other side of the line, and that is our percentage symbol of today. So let that symbol help you remember what the definition of a percent is. So percent symbol literally means divided by 100. So let's use an example. This is a hot chocolate example. So you collected some data on hot chocolate sales and you found the following two things. In Boston, 2,500 people walked by and 100 bought hot chocolate. In Holyoke, 50 people walked by and 45 bought hot chocolate. Which city would you say likes hot chocolate more? The reason this question is not as obvious is because we're comparing two different sized cities. Boston clearly sold more hot chocolates, but they also had a lot more people walk by. So this is where percents come in. This is one of the reasons we like percents, is they let us pretend that every city had 100 people walk by. So Boston, instead of 2,500 people and 100 of them buying hot chocolate, let's scale that down. So let's take that 2,500 and turn it just into 100. So we're splitting it up really into 25 different parts. Well, if I split up that 2,500, I got to split up the 100 who bought hot chocolate. So if I scale Boston down, I sell 4 hot chocolates every 100 people who pass. Well, out of 100 gives me my percentage. So Boston, 4% of the people walking by bought hot chocolate. In Holyoke, 50 people walked by and 45 bought it. So this one we need to scale it up. So we're going to pretend that 100 people walked by. Well, if 45 of the 50, to turn that into 100, we really need to sort of think of it as twice as many people. Well, twice as many people means twice as many hot chocolates sold. So there's my 90 over 100. So there's my 90%. So Boston, 4% of the people bought hot chocolate. In Holyoke, 90% of the people bought hot chocolate. So which city likes hot chocolate more? Using percentages, we would probably say Holyoke, right? Because relative to the size of the city, 90% of the people who walked by bought hot chocolate. That is significantly more than 4%. But If we're just going to use the raw numbers, which we would in a situation like, where am I going to open a hot chocolate stand? We're going to Boston. Even though only 4% of the people who walk by actually buy a hot chocolate, I still am going to end up selling 100 hot chocolates as opposed to only the 45 that I would sell in Holyoke. So percentages are not the end-all be-all of comparison, but they are a way to make comparisons. So the idea of scaling is what percentages are all about. We know that Boston had more than 100 people, but it's allowing us to pretend and say, what if exactly 100 people passed by? What would we expect? Same idea with Holyoke. There were not 100 people who passed by. There were only 50. But it's allowing us to sort of pretend and say, well, what if exactly 100 people had passed by? Well, if that were the case, we would sell, according to our data, 90 hot chocolates. Okay, so why do we scale? We scale for two big reasons. One, we are bombarded with percentages our whole life, so they make sense to us. We can easily assign meaning to a test score of 95%, or a tip of 3%, or a price increase of 42%. We can assign meaning to those statements. Secondly, it allows us to easily compare information from two different size groups. To compare a large city to a small city. To compare a large population to a small population. A large study to a small study. Summary. Make sure you know what you're taking a percentage of. It's so important. If context is not provided, make up your own. Percentages are scaling the whole to exactly 100. We're pretending. We're saying, what if the whole was exactly 100? This can sometimes result in some strange numbers. For example, if in Westfield there was a hot chocolate stand and 89 of 124 people bought hot chocolate, then this would be 71.774, and I rounded it, percentage, which means 71.774 people would buy hot chocolate if 100 people walked by. Well, part of a person can't buy hot chocolate. Either a person buys it or a person doesn't. But again, percentages allow us to pretend so that it's easier for us to compare groups, even if the numbers might seem a little bit confusing.